So a question that's cropped up quite a few times on videos is, how do I know if my car is running a DPF regeneration cycle? It would be nice if manufacturers all put little lights or warnings on the dashboard to give the driver a clue that such a process is going on. Now, it's important because you don't really want to keep shutting the engine off while this DPF regeneration is going on, because it will not complete and essentially it'll be restarting on a cold engine. You'll need to warm it up to operating temperature and then the regeneration can start again, and you can quite easily get into a situation where the DPF never really quite gets clear just because you as a driver have kept shutting the engine off before it happens. And also, these repeated failed attempts at regenerating the DPF can cause other problems. Oil dilution is a problem. It's using a lot of extra fuel to try and clear that filter, and some of that fuel ends up in the oil. So the more that process is happening, the more likely you are to have a problem with oil dilution. So in this video, we're just going to look at the telltale signs, assuming that your car doesn't tell you that a regeneration is going on. So in some cars, you do have a warning on the dashboard. Often though, this warning only comes up when the DPF is in danger of clogging. It's really alerting you as a driver that there is a potential problem there. So manufacturers really want the regeneration cycle to happen almost imperceptibly in the background. So as a driver, you need to be a bit of a detective. You need to be familiar with your car and what's going on with it. So the telltale signs that a DPF regeneration is taking place in your diesel engine. If you keep an eye on the miles per gallon, if you keep your trip computer up showing you the current miles per gallon, if you notice that suddenly dropping, that is a telltale sign that the DPF regeneration has started. It will use a lot more fuel during that regeneration cycle. It's trying to achieve much higher engine temperatures, and part of the way it does that is by pushing extra fuel into the exhaust stream that goes into the filter, so that that can raise the temperatures of the filter, effectively burning off the soot particles that have collected there. The next telltale sign is really a consequence of this process of cleaning. The engine is running much hotter. So you might notice the temperature gauge starting to creep up. You might notice that the engine smells hotter. Particularly if you park it up, you may notice that the whole engine bay is just emanating heat. You can hear that ticking noise as the metal is cooling. So that might be an indication that a DPF regeneration has taken place. But also the cooling fans on the engine are going to be working extra hard to keep those temperatures down. So if the cooling fans cut in, and that's not something that normally happens on that part of the drive at that speed, at that RPM, then you can assume that the DPF regeneration is taking place. And then finally, you've generally got a higher tick over. So if your engine typically idled at say 800 RPMs and you suddenly find it's trying to idle at 1000 RPMs, that would be the case in a lot of the Volkswagen Group TDI engines. That would be an indication that the car is trying to run a regeneration cycle. So just being aware of how the engine works normally and noticing any differences from that accepted norm will alert you as a driver to the possibility that there is a DPF regeneration taking place. And if that is the case, try not to prematurely stop it. Allow that regeneration cycle to complete. It might mean taking a few extra miles on the journey to extend the opportunity the car has of clearing that DPF, but it will really help the long-term prospect. It's not a major problem to interrupt the DPF cycle on occasions, but if you're doing it all the time, that could lead to other problems where you have to do a forced regeneration on the DPF itself. So hopefully that's answered the question. Please let me know in the comments what your car does when it goes through a DPF regeneration. Do you get a warning on the dashboard? Do you notice the higher temperature the engine's running at, the higher tick over, or the increased fuel consumption? Or is it different in your car? Are you really struggling to tell if that regeneration is taking place? So please boot the like button. That really does help us to get out there. I've lined this video up for you to help you to get the very best out of your engine. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because we'd love you to stay tuned. See you in this next video.